Hey, what's going on? What's going on? It's been a while. It's been a while. Just wanted to let everybody know still alive. It's always good to remind people. Haven't streamed all week. Been busy, but how's everyone doing? How y'all feeling? Hope everyone's taking care of themselves. Gonna give people time to get into the room. Gonna um, let them see what's going on. Whew. How you feeling? People are on here. Letting people know on Twitter. Let people on your social media know as well. Yeah. Hey, Champagne Communista, how you feeling? GM Playfair, how you feeling? How's everyone doing? Ooh, what's up? Oh, Jinx. The Periscope feed. I didn't put the Periscope feed up this time. I was just experimenting with not putting it up. I wanted to see a couple of things. First, I wanted to see how many people we get without it because we on my screen, I'm using a program called StreamYard. It combines everything, all the sources. So I didn't put the Periscope speed up. Another thing too is I've been noticing this. Like Twitter is like so toxic. It attracts like a lot of weird people sometimes. So sometimes I'm not sure if I want to put the Periscope feed up because Um, sometimes you get trolls or weird things on the Twitter side of things through Periscope. So I wanted to not put it up this time just to see if I like it better without Periscope being up. I'm on the fence about. In general, I've been trying to use Twitter less. Every time I occasionally break down, I immediately regret it. Like I just put up a tweet just now, and then after I put it up, I was like, why did I do this? Like, it's only going to be a matter of time before, like, you can put anything on Twitter nowadays. If you get enough followers, like, Twitter's only fun, I think, if you have max 3,000 followers. Once you get above that, like, it's a weird game, right? Because the whole game of any social media at the end of the day, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, is to gain more followers. It's, like, you don't want to admit it, but at the end of the day, you always look at your follower count and judge how it's growing. But ironically, the other problem is the more you get, the worse the experience gets. So it's kind of like this weird incentivized pain. Like you're incentivized to grow a follower count and make your experience worse. But if you were asked to give up your follower count, you wouldn't want to do it. Like you hate losing followers. It's like being addicted to a drug that's um ruining your life. Yeah, we're on Twitch. We're on Twitch. See, this is smart. This is how you should use Twitter. But like you can say on Twitter, the sky is blue. And I think we can all agree on that. So if we can agree on that, then why can't we agree on other obvious things? And that's the point you're trying to make it. And someone will be like, actually the sky is not blue. It's a illusion caused by the limitations of human perception. And like, okay, who cares? Like there's always someone who's just gonna come in with the there's someone gonna come in with the most stupid, bad faith, ridiculous thing, and no matter what, like no matter how simple you try to make your point, someone's gonna come in with something out of left field and be like abrasive with it. And so it's like I've been trying to use it less, or I've mostly been using it to ask questions. Like I was asking how to introduce a noise gate, so I tweeted about that. Then I asked another question about how to do something, and I tweeted about that. Or if I want to find out something, like I want to find out something about Star Trek and Next Generation, and I asked someone how to um I asked them, I asked in general, can someone explain to me why season 3 of Star Trek and Next Generation looks so physically different than the previous two seasons? You know, like things like that. But tonight I broke down and I brought up a political point. And as soon as I did it, I was like, why did I do this? Like, it's the kind of thing that's gonna lead to a bunch of bad faith misinterpretations or butt hurtness. Yeah, but so anyway, that's the reason why I didn't want to put up on Periscope, because I just felt like a lot of times some of the weirdest trolls come off of stumbling on it in Periscope. I put the link to this on Twitter, like I tweeted and said we're streaming live, and that, for some reason that extra step of clicking over to YouTube doesn't really seem to attract a lot of trolls and weirdos, but being able to see it on Twitch, I'm sorry, not Twitch, being able to see it on Periscope, you know, makes it real easy for them to join in. Just give me a second, let me pull up the topics I wanted to talk about today. But in general, there's been another good reason to stay off of social media is right now I feel like liberals and identity politics crowd are really insufferable and saying like the dumbest things. And you know, I always say iron sharpens iron. So it's like the dumber that the liberals and the MAGA types are getting, a lot of leftists are kind of spiraling down too, like just dunking on the worst identity politics bait tweets and all this stuff, and it's just really messy and ugly. It's but I want to talk about several things. I made a list of things, but I was also too lazy to categorize it, and I probably should have categorized it, because if I categorized it, it would have more of a logical flow, and instead it's not. So I'm gonna have to go through this list and in real time try to organize it in real time. But here's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about real fast. Let me find the first thing. One of the things is on MSNBC. Where's the MSNBC link? Okay, here's something. Where is it? Yes. I want to talk about this real quick and contextualize a lot of stuff using this. Let me say hello to people in the room right now. Yeah, they've always been insufferable and saying ridiculous things, but they're just more emboldened to than ever. Like they were that insufferable and saying ridiculous things when they were losing. Now that the fact that they won, even if they won by the skin of their teeth against the biggest, most hateful moron in recent living history, and only thanks to a once in a generation, if that, pandemic, that does not stop them from being arrogant and bold. Like they were arrogant and bold with the stupid takes when they were losing all the time. So you can only imagine now, you know. Yeah, just dunking on the same dumb points for years and the conversation never shifts. Yeah, that really sums it up perfectly. Yep. Um anyway, I wanted to show this real quick 'cause I thought it was a very interesting. I'm gonna try to keep this moving fast. But first things first, I forgot.
Vice President Biden, you need us.
Do you guys hear the sound on this? What just played? Did you hear the sound on it? I forgot to double check and make sure I turned down the sound. Yeah, once in a century. Yeah, like once in a lifetime was not even right. Definitely. Yeah, okay, so you heard it. Okay, great. So let us continue. I'm gonna play this real quick to contextualize some later stuff, but this came out in May 14th. And in case for people who didn't remember it, Washington Post put Vice President Biden, you need black women voters. This is how to win us. And it says black women are Democrats' most reliable voting bloc. Here's how Joe Biden can win them over in the 2020 election. According to Latasha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter, Tiffany D. Cross, political analyst and author, Brittany Packnett Cunningham, activist, educator, and writer, Alicia Garza, principal of Black Futures Lab and host of the podcast Lady Don't Take No, Sunny Holston, lawyer, author, and co-host of The View, Angela Rye, commentator and political strategist, and Amanda Seals, comedian, author, and creator of Smart, Funny, and Black. And it's like, I already call into question the premise that these are the people who most know how to channel black women. Like, what qualifies them? You know, and I'll open that to myself. Like, I would not ever represent myself as someone who can channel significant numbers the black vote just because I have a relatively popular podcast. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that I can. Like, I would tell someone like Tavis Smiley or Tom Joyner is probably way more likely to reach the average black guy in a barber chair than I would. You know, like it's good to be honest with yourself, but being that these people's cachet, their cultural cachet, their importance comes from this idea of being able to tell white people that they're Negro whisperers, they always have to do what I have described as jumping in front of, standing on the beach and waving their hands in front of the waves to pretend that they're controlling the tides. And there's a bunch of stuff happening and a bunch of forces on the ground and mobilizers and organizers and things like that that are actually moving these things. And they um, know that white people don't want to go to the ground of what's happening in the streets. So they can just lie to them and pretend that they're moving the tides and they won't, check it out, right? But yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just funny, man. Like I like I'm a friend of Sam Cedar. I'm a fan of Sam Cedar, but yeah, he was trying to push that, shame voting for Biden so we could push him left, and so far I don't really see that happening. I don't see that happening. Uh, but anyway, we're gonna play this quick. This is in May, but there's a reason why I'm bringing this back up. I've talked about this before, so you might be thinking, "T, why are you bringing this up again?" But there's context to this that relates to today. I kind of want to show how these people kind of didn't have a plan for their shilling. They were, "Hey, Void 912, how's it going?" Like they were kind of shilling. They were kind of shilling without a real plan in mind. It was just kind of a hope. This is what the scramble was, right? They all put their energy behind Warren. Warren brought them into the fold with open arms. Actually, you know what? I am not going to start with this. I just remember something better to start with. Much, much better. That'll set the stage more appropriately. This is the problem of being too lazy to organize your links beforehand. But this is a better thing to start with. This article right here is by, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Astid, um, but I'm gonna pull up his article right now. Actually, I thought okay. So Steed wrote an article, Steed Wesley, and in the article he accompanied it with this tweet, and this is what the tweet said. It said, "New." This is a description of his own article, Steed Wesley, and it appeared in the New York Times. Elizabeth Warren's supporter base is still entirely too white. Despite the backing of prominent black activists, she is largely a non factor in SC, South Carolina. It is, for now, a lesson on the difference between grass top support and the grassroots. And what he meant by that is there are some people who are truly grassroots, right? And I think we all know what grassroots means. That's people who create movements from the bottom up, and those movements have strong roots. Like a well-rooted lawn is not easy to tear up, right? And grass tops are things that from the outside look like grass, so you think they're rooted in the soil and from the bottom up, but it's just grass lying on top of the soil with no roots. So the minute you reach down and pull it, it just all comes loose. And grass tops is a term that they use to describe fake grassroots, something that simulates the look and language of grassroots, but actually has no actual um, rooting, and as a result, is very fragile and easy to tear apart. And that's what this guy was saying that Elizabeth Warren support, her black support was. She brought in all these Black Lives Matter people, all these social justice influencers, Alicia Garza, Professor Crunk. All these people were on Elizabeth's inner circle, in Elizabeth Warren's inner circle from the beginning. And I know someone, a fan of the show. He was kind of operating like a mole, honestly, in Texas. He was a black activist and a local activist, and he was part of Elizabeth Warren's campaign in Texas. And he was telling me about how the national team was all these people, these grass tops, all these social justice influencers, and all they were doing, and it was like a mafia grift where they were just bringing in their friends and letting their friends wet their beak. So what was happening was, for example, the national was trying to force people onto the local activists who were working for Elizabeth Warren, and local activists were kind of asking for tangibles and all this stuff, and they were talking to the local white people running the campaign, and then the local white people would be like, well, nationals trying to make us bring Jamila Lemieux down to speak. And they were like, don't nobody in Texas know Jamila Lemieux. Nobody cares about Jamila Lemieux. Like, don't send her down here. Like, no one black wants to see her. No one here in Texas fucks with Jamila Lemieux. Like, it's just a bunch of weird blue check Twitter types with septum rings, who all live in 4 cities, like Brooklyn, Portland, Seattle, and the Bay. Like they don't want her in Texas. She's not going to sway the black vote. But the people in the national committee are a bunch of blue checks and part of the activist media and writer industrial complex. So they were trying to get their friends speaking gigs and different types of gigs and bring them in. It was like when the Sopranos do a bust out and they take over someone's business and they gut it, or like those financial raiders, they take over a company just to gut it and pick it apart and then sell it for scraps. That's basically what they were doing. So anyway, they got outvoted, right? And the Nationals sent down Jamil Lemieux, and that the guy sent me pictures of the event. At this event at an HBCU, she only got like 20 or 30 black people at an HBCU. Like, and he was telling me even the worst events there, just because there's like free pizza and or it's social, usually gets a lot of people. Like, it's really bad at a HBCU for a black event, to only get 20. Like, that's active black repellent. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So someone called them social justice sham wows because they soak up all the. Someone said pull up to the fuse and soak up all the energy. And then someone said they're social justice sham wows. Yeah, they can soak up so much. So they're being proven right all the time, and a lot of times the local uh, campaign people started deferring to the local black activists over the national ones because the local black activists were actual real grassroots and were giving them good advice, where the national ones were just sending people down. The next person they sent down was the guy who made up the fake barbershop. I forget his name. They sent him down to Texas to campaign for Elizabeth Warren. The guy who made the Black Panther challenge and the Captain Marvel challenge. Um, he's a kind of weird guy. He made a fake barbershop that he claimed was dedicated to um Elizabeth Warren. If anybody remembers his name, let me help me remember. Oh, also, if y'all appreciate the work that we do, and the knowledge that we bring, and if we make you laugh or whatever, consider donating to the super chat and all that good stuff. We definitely appreciate it. Also, now on Cash App and Venmo, it's just Champagne Sharks, one word. I believe that's what it is, because some people have said they don't like using the Google system, the Google Pay. So that's also an option if you prefer. Just one word, Champagne Sharks at um, Venmo or Cash App. Yep. So, or at PayPal, champagnesharks at gmail.com. Yeah. So um it was, yeah, Frederick Joseph, thank you. And this is it, right? So he announced this, and he became like a laughing someone said he's a truly recurring character on Twitter. Yeah, he definitely is, but not even a good recurring character. He's like a comic relief recurring character, but he's a good influencer. He's always finding an angle. He's a true influencer. He has a book coming out called The Black Friend, and I think it's like a children's book or something, all about being the black friend. Like, that's a serious business. So he tweeted this. This is February. Um, just left the barbershop and everyone was talking about Elizabeth Warren. Then he puts on this fake black scent. Uh, Yo, your girl, bro. That's that heat we need for Trump. When you are getting talked about in the barbershop, you know it's real. And yeah, he seriously wrote that, and he rightfully got clowned. And then these were the pictures that he showed to prove that the barbershop was real. And it looks really staged. The decorations are weird. There's just a jersey on a hanger hanging on a wall. I've never seen I've never seen anything like this. It's the worst looking barbershop I've seen in a while. And then it's very sparsely decorated and it looks like a pop-up. It looks made up. And then this is another picture. He's sitting on the couch and he's there's more things on a hanger. There's Air Jordan decals on the wall. There's two Spider-Man posters, another jersey on a hanger, and then against the wall there's a bunch of Blu-ray DVD covers, and it's very sparsely decorated. There's more pictures, but he's got getting clowned and clowned. Then eventually he also did something where he was involved in kind of accusing something of being Satanist. He went on an Airbnb and said it was run by a Satanist. To be fair, it was kind of a weird Airbnb, but he did it in typical histrionic fashion. And then he got really defensive on top of that when people got mad at it. Well, not mad at him. We started clowning him over how stupid the whole story. Like, there's just a barbershop full of dudes just talking about Elizabeth Warren with that language. Here's more pictures of it, right? There's more pictures. I want y'all to see all the pictures. So yeah, here he is with the thing, and everyone just looks kind of bored or whatever. Like there's not this enthusiasm that he's talking about. This barbershop looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Is this the same barbershop? I don't know. The angle's weird, but this one looks a little more authentic at least. Um, Oh yeah, this is a different one. He was kind of using this as proof. Okay, so this is what it is. He was using this as proof when everyone's making fun of him. He's like, "Oh yeah, except I've been canvassing barbershops and other businesses in the various parts of the country for Elizabeth Warren, just like my own. Nice tries, and nice try calling me a liar." And I will admit, this one does look more like a real barbershop than the other one, but a no one looks excited in this one either. And B, people were complaining, not complaining, laughing more at the language and the scenario that, like, I believe he could have went to a barbershop and said, "Hey, let me talk to you about Elizabeth Warren." And then everyone was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess she's okay. I don't know. I mean, it's better than Trump." I was like, I can see that, but what people are laughing at is a whole ridiculous scenario of like he just walked in and they're talking about Elizabeth Warren, like to use a New York barbershop, for example, talking about the favorite Jadakiss lyrics, the favorite Jadakiss verse of all time or something, and that in that language, and she got that heat for Trump. That's what people were laughing at. Now, this is the barbershop in question in the tweet that we're talking about, and I want to find one more pic. Here's a hair salon, and it just looks. You ever see that show Nathan for You? And the guy plays like this kind of clueless guy who's always trying to be an influencer and a self promoter, and the guy is really clueless. He reminds me of a black like Nathan for You, except there's no humor. He's 100% earnest. But look at the people's faces. Like these people just seem to be like, okay, whatever this guy's saying, I guess we'll hear him out, but yeah, he keeps digging in more and more, and it keeps making him look worse. And he was really um kind of laughed out of town for that. If you see the original thread, but he had more pictures from that fake barbershop, and he was hitting everyone in the thread with barbershop pictures, um which kind of made his case worse because in every picture the people just looked just as bored, and again, the people weren't it wasn't just about whether or not he was in a barbershop, but the flagrant lying about the scenario and all that. And yeah, he got pretty much laughed out of town for that one. But there were more pictures of the barbershop that unfortunately I'm not able to find. Of the specific fake one that he was talking about, that one was really good. That's the one I want to find. I want a close up of the DVDs on the wall because those DVDs on the wall. Oh yeah, here is part of what I'm talking about. Nathan gets a taper fade. Right? Check this out. Some people did close ups in different angles of the things on the wall. So there was like Peter Rabbit was one of the Blu-rays. It's like a random photograph of someone. Um, Hobbs and Shaw, Spider-Man Far From Home Blu-ray case. A weird Halle Berry movie that I don't even know what that one is. I think that's her CBS series. Like there's no coherent anything in these pictures. Like people were doing all types of close-ups on the things on the wall. Um Remember that Peter Pan um movie that came out a couple years ago called Pan, and it was a flop. It's a poster for the movie Pan with mentioned on the Blu-ray. So yeah, in a poster for the movie Pan, which no one saw, um, here's some more angles of the barbershop, right? So I think this is another angle of the same barbershop, and he's supposed to be talking to the people. There was a weird chair in it, covered by velvet rope. Um, there's two more pictures of that barbershop that unfortunately I don't have handy. But enough of that. That's not the main point. Going back to Asted Wesley's article. Yeah, but it was a makeshift barbershop. It was really funny. It was clearly a pop-up. Uh he canvassed rhyme cipher. They don't have rhyme ciphers anymore. That's a problem. If it was like 20 years ago, someone's like found the address for it and everything, and it was in the same building as like a Elizabeth Warren campaign headquarters, which made it even funnier. Uh someone said pan was shorthand for Pan African. And more like pan pizza. That thing was a joke, right? So anyway, that was in February, right? So these local people, the next step that happened, the Texas story that I'm talking about, the local Texas activist that was feeding me information, he told me, you're not gonna believe who they're bringing down now after the Jamil Lemieux fiasco. They said they're sending that Frederick T. Joseph guy down. And we told him no black people here really fuck with him. Like nobody knows that dude. That dude is like a clown. Why do you keep sending these people? But these social justice influencers, it's a social justice mafia. They all grease each other's palms. They all let each other wet their beaks. So it was kind of like, hey, I got a good hustle, guys. It's the Elizabeth Warren campaign. Let everyone come in, let everyone wet their beak. And yeah, so Frederick Joseph went down, and they brought him, and this guy was tasked, like they were told by National, you have to show this guy around all of Texas and everything. And he said the guy seems like a nice enough guy. When I met him, he didn't seem bad. He was okay, but he was pretty clueless, and no black people know him here. And he didn't really move the needle at all. It was just like people were like, okay, who is this guy? But the guy got a check. But at the end of the day, that's all these people were doing with Elizabeth Warren. They just got their foot in the door of her campaign, and they did a bust out like what Tony Soprano did with the sporting goods store, or they did what like Michael Milken did with the corporate raiders and all those people, where they just raided a company and did a hostile takeover, and then just um pumped up the value, then sold it for parts. That's what they ended up doing. And that was around the time of February, and everybody with blue hair and a septum ring, like Elizabeth Warren, bought in and brought them in. And sure enough, this is what happened. And they got really mad at the author for this. They were in his ass on Twitter. They were very upset. But the author even said, like, what are you mad at me about? Like, it's true. Like, this is what happened. And they took because he was calling attention to the truth, which is these people have no pull. They have no pull with the people that they're hired to have pull with. And the people who they do have pull with are white people who are already like Elizabeth Warren, influencer bust out for Warren's campaign. Um, Yeah, and Terry Hines puts it best. Oh my God, that NPR headline. Like the rational conclusion is that these quote unquote activists have no pull. Exactly. And that's why they were mad about this. Also, if you're enjoying the stream, by all means, share it with people on social media, because we're going to get heavy. I want people to get in on the beginning, because there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of information dropped on this one. So I want as many people in here at the beginning as possible. Share it on social media, tell your friends, text them, whatever. But yeah, so this is like an exposure. This is them being exposed. And I'm just going to skim through this real quick. Elizabeth Warren has one black activist. She's losing the black vote. And for people who remember, South Carolina is when everything turned around for Biden. And this is important to the narrative. Um, I want you all to realize in South Carolina, at those primaries, that's when everything turned for Biden for the better. And the reason why I want to show this headline is to make it clear none of these people were in his corner um when this happened. So they can't take any credit for it, right? They tried to stand in front of what they thought was the wave that was going to come in and wave their hand, and then another wave came in for everyone to see, and they just got exposed. So their usual plan didn't work because they waved their hand the wrong way. They overcommitted. They should have kept the movements a little more vague, but they really committed to one movement, and they miscalculated and got exposed. And this is when everything turned around. And it was the old heads that took care of this. It was the black boomers. It was Obama doing machinations in the background. It was that whole setup that was irrelevant to that was irrelevant. They were irrelevant to it. That had nothing to do with it. Yeah, so here's what happened. The crowd at the music venue The crowd at a music venue here was energized, on his feet, breaking into an occasional chant of "Dream big, fight hard," while waiting for a "Get out the vote" rally with Senator Elizabeth Warren and John Legend. And that alone shows part of the problem, right? Like, someone asked if I got the Cash App. Yeah, I got it. It worked. So it was the first time of the Champagne Sharks official Cash App being used, and yep, it works. So yeah, so the Cash App of at Champagne Sharks works. So anyway, moving on. Just want to answer Sly. Thanks for the donation, Sly. Um, John Legend alone is part of the problem. Like, you're going down there to South Carolina in the South with black celebrities, and you bring John Legend married to annoying ass Chrissy Let Them Eat Cake Teigen, and that's where you think's gonna move. So they're clueless on every level, right? But when one black city council member from nearby North Charleston entered the auditorium, he immediately noticed a problem. The audience was almost entirely white. And my friend who was feeding me all this information from Warren's local campaign in Texas was like warning me. He said these people are going to run her campaign into the ground because, and he was also saying that when they show up, they're very hostile to the local black activists because they get a lot of pushback from them as far as the grift goes because they keep exposing like the grift and fighting them on it. Like they keep because they were trying to get tangibles for black people and bring real black issues to the attention of Elizabeth Warren's campaign. And these people were trying to get Elizabeth Warren to use vague social justice speak like "I see you, I hear you, I'll be a good ally," and then bring all their friends in to do consultancy, and they were having a conflict. And it was kind of like when like some kind of nerdy black person is like at an all-white party and is trying to like front like they're a gangster or something to impress like the clueless white people, but then like some real dudes from the street come into the party and now they're nervous because holy shit, I'm gonna be exposed as phony. That's kind of It was like a similar dynamic like what he was describing where they would be very hostile to the local black activists because of A, they were getting in the way of the grift, but B, they kept kind of exposing them by vetoing the people they were trying to send down on the ground. They were sending these people from city to city to just basically collect speaking fees and do stupid social justice jargon. Um, so the audience was almost entirely white. Just days before Saturday's South Carolina primary, a contest in which black voters will likely make up around 60% of the electorate, Ms. Warren drew an audience in Charleston that more closely resembled those in Iowa and New Hampshire, more John Mellencamp than John Legend. But honestly, that's John Legend's audience too. Like John Legend, the guy can sing, but the guy sounds he sounds like the elevator music version of Stevie Wonder. Like he sounds like the smooth jazz cover of someone else's original song, except that actually is the original song. It's like he skipped the middleman. He's like, it's like someone said, "Hey, if I make a pop song, eventually it's gonna be a smooth jazz, horrible cover of it that's gonna end up in hotel lounges. What if I just skip the middleman and just make that my original song? Like smooth jazz cover soul, and that's kind of what his music is. So it was funny that even John Legend was part of the problem. He wasn't a step in the right direction. Mike Brown, the North Charleston City councilor who was undecided in the primary, called it a troubling omen. A campaign that has tried to pitch itself as a uniting force within the Democratic Party that could not attract the party's most loyal constituency. And while I'm reading this, if someone can pull up what place she came in South Carolina, because I don't think it was even second. I think she came in distant. I forget. It might be third or more. But someone could tell me. Look at this audience, and there's no representation from African Americans. 1%, 2%, Mr. Brown said. Her message is strong, and those who hear her like her, but she just hasn't reached people on the ground. Ms. Warren has vocal support from some of the most prominent racial justice activists, prominent among who, though? White liberals with NPR tote bags, online influencers and scholars, and people with enormous digital followings and visibility in the media. And that's a problem with influencers. Like all that shit can be gamed. It doesn't necessarily mean to turn to real life support. She won that support through a conscious political courtship, listening to black activists and releasing several policy plans to reflect how she valued their input. And those policy plans reflected a lot of the dumb intersectional jargon. It has paid off with endorsements and presidential forums and fueled the perception of Ms. Warren as the candidate of diverse coalitions. She scored highest among the 2020 candidates on the Center for Urban and Racial Equality's Racial Justice Scorecard, lit up a crowd of women of color at She the People's presidential forum last year, and announced the support of a collection of activists and organizers called Black Women For. And Black Women is spelled WOMXN. On God, no regular black women spell women WOMXN. That is Tumblr. Like that alone, she needed somebody in the ear to, like, if I was advising her, as soon as I saw some coalition of black women promising to get me sway with the average black woman on the ground, and they have funky spellings like, black folks FOLX, or black women WOMXN. Like, come on, fuck out of here. Like, you shouldn't even need an expert to tell you that. You shouldn't even need an expert to tell you that. You should just have, even as a common sense white person, you should know. Like, that's really out of touch. As how do you pronounce that? Do you pronounce it Wimixen? What is that? Yeah, that'd be like if I was trying to do Latino outreach and someone showed up like Latinx coalition. I'll like, yo, get it. If I need the Tumblr vote, I'm gonna come to you, but I'm not going to use you to get like working class Texas Mexicans. It's not gonna work, right? We are really focused, and this is an important paragraph. We are really focused on who is going to advance the best policies that will transform the lives of Black people across the country, said Alicia Garza, the activist and founder of the Black to the Future Action Fund. How many funds does she have? She has the Future Labs Foundation. I think she's part of Black Voters Matter as well as Black Lives Matter. And she just be creating like funds and nonprofits. Well, actually not nonprofits because Black Lives Matter is not a nonprofit because they had to be transparent with their finances. That's a whole different story. But if you look it up, they're incorporated in Delaware. Black Lives Matter is not a nonprofit. Um, Activist and founder of the Black to the Future Action Fund, a political group that recently endorsed Ms. Warren, a Massachusetts senator, which, did not help on the ground. However, there remains a significant disconnect between that perception and the reality of securing Black and Latino votes. And that disconnect is becoming harder to hide as Ms. Warren lost decisively among Latino voters in Nevada because she was using the Hispanic version of these people. She was actually using the Latinx crowd, like people with like Latinx in their bios with half their head shaved and the remaining hair and the giant blue bang on the side of their head and six flags related to their sexuality, country of origin, state, city, like those people led to nothing with the Latinos. And yeah, she had social justice influencers from every camp: the feminist camp, the intersectional feminist camp, the Black women camp, the queer camp, and they did not deliver among any. So lost decisively among Latino voters in Nevada, and her prospects among Black voters in South Carolina look equally grim. Oh, so here's the answer I wanted. Recent polling averages project she will finish fourth or fifth in the state, behind more widely known and well-funded candidates like Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer. These Black people couldn't even deliver somebody past Tom Steyer. Come on. I forgot he even ran. Like that's really bad. So these people are useless. And Joe Biden's not stupid. I think Joe Biden and his people and all the other camps aren't looking at this. Like, this was their time to shine. This was show and prove. She gave these people the keys to the car and the house and the pool, and they blew it up. They messed up. You know what I mean? And everybody saw it. This was their stage to shine, to show their influence. And this is important to set the stage for the rest of the stuff I'm going to talk to. I mean, let me jump ahead. Don Calloway, a Democratic strategist specializing in field operations with Black voters, said Ms. Warren's problems winning them over threatened the viability of her campaign moving forward, but she should also serve as a cautionary tale. The progressive activists who have showered her candidacy with validation have a different electoral lens than the Black electorate at large. This is a very good article, by the way, and it was very underrepresented and under promoted, despite being in the New York Times of all places, because it did not go with the narrative that the powers that be want. In fact, it's impressive it even got published. That schism is a distinction some have labeled Grasstops versus the grassroots, or the belief that the leaders of liberal and progressive organizations have a different political lens than their more working class members. Ms. Warren, quote, did a great job of galvanizing internet savvy, well known personalities, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like that support is translated into populations on the ground, Mr. Calloway said. Late last year, according to multiple people familiar with discussions, Ms. Warren's team called around to experienced South Carolina operatives, hoping to add experience and an adult in the room to a Black outreach operation they admitted was inadequate. So this is similar to my friend's story about Texas. Like, on some level, this is interesting. They realized that these national influencers and grifters that they were hiring were not really getting the job done, and they were kind of reaching to the local like Black people, like, can you help us out with the outreach? Um the people, there was this thread, I don't have it handy, I just remember there was a thread of all the Black people who worked for Elizabeth Warren's campaign, and usual suspects. Like a lot of them went to like Ivy Leagues, a lot of them bounced around to different uh, places and campaigns, and were freelance writers or PhDs in academics and lawyers and stuff. They were doing stuff like doing self-promoting threads. Hey, if you're black and work, or if you're a POC or a woman of color and work for Elizabeth Warren's campaign, um, join this thread and tweet your picture and tweet your Cash App, and they were like promoting themselves instead of promoting Elizabeth Warren. It was the funniest thing. I wish I saved. You know what? I'm going to look for that thread for next time. But um, the guy that I knew was sending me all these threads, and he's like, "These people are crazy. People are pulling their hair out at these people because this is all they want to do is just promote themselves and get followers and just tweet a bunch of dumb intersectional jargon, but they have no idea how to actually promote Elizabeth Warren. But that's what influencers do. Like they promise to bring you eyeballs, but instead they use you to increase their own platform, and then they do a bust out. Like they gut you. Like, to use an example that I know people get tired of, but I know but it's honestly the best one right now is with I always talk about how the influencerization of entertainment, but there's like three things that happened this year that were got a lot of buzz and everything, and that's Watchmen on HBO, Slave Play, and Lovecraft Country, and they got like a lot of award nominations, and everybody involved with it got a lot of press, and that guy Jeremy O'Harris got a huge deal with HBO. Damon Lindelof won a bunch of Emmys, and they got a lot of press, a lot of articles. The Lovecraft Country people got a lot of press, a lot of articles, and if you check the ratings and the profitability of all those things, they tanked. They all lost money. Slave Play lost a ton of money. I pointed it out on Twitter, and Jeremy O'Harris went to my Twitter and he was saying that he made the play to introduce theater to black people, and it wasn't about making money. It's like, get the fuck out of here. You don't make things out of charity. You don't get investors out of charity, but he I guess it hit a nerve, and he got really angry in my mentions and was saying it's not about money. It's about, so he's trying to act like he did it for charity, but no, you did it to promote your own name, and it worked, but the investors are left holding the bag. But what do you care? You moved over to HBO and took their bag now, and what you're gonna make for them is probably not gonna get any. It could get a lot of buzz, but when the smoke clears, it'll make no money either. I bet you. But you don't care because your follower count will double again, and you'll also get more deals and exposure off of it. And same thing with Watchmen. It turned out it made got very low ratings, and they lied about the numbers, and then that's why they announced no second season. Their claim was, the story was perfect and it was done, and that's why we didn't do it. But no, it just didn't make money. He's just saving face. And Lovecraft Country, when you look at the ratings, it didn't get great ratings. But these people are the political version of that. They go in with the idea of what can the campaign do for me and my platform and me in the future, rather than what can I do for the campaign? How can I help the campaign win? That's the big problem. It's very, what I think these people think. This is what I think it is. I think what these people think, because there's so much competition for eyeballs, I think what these people think is, if we keep rolling the eyeballs over, we keep getting the buzz, sooner or later, something has to hit. So I think they think, as long as we're generating buzz and staying in the news, one of these gambles is going to hit. And when it hits, it'll pay off enough to make up for the other ones. And I think that's what the rationale is, right? Yes, but these new blacks can't make a thing that appeals to actual black masses. And politically, and this is funny, these are all the same people. Like, the people who are doing politics next month will be trying to write a show, and they'll be on the staff of one of these writing shows. Then they'll be writing a book. Like for example, Frederick T. Joseph, he has a book coming out. It's a children's book, but he also is being a political surrogate, and he's probably pitching TV shows too. So not only are these the same types of people in all these different arenas, whether it's entertainment, politics, whatever, a lot of times these are literally the same people. These people, they don't really have a real calling. Their real calling is being an influencer and getting platforms. And the other stuff are decoy jobs. That's why they can, like August Wilson didn't split time between writing plays and being a political surrogate and doing screenplays and walking fashion lines. Like I'm going to show you something real quick, just give you an idea of how ridiculous this all is at this point. Um, Nothing drives this home as much as this recent thing. So Jeremy Harris, after Slave Play, jumped to do a screenplay. He did a screenplay for a movie called Zola. This movie is, I shit you not, based on a Twitter thread. He's doing a movie based. They're adapting a Twitter thread into a movie, right? Then he got a HBO TV deal, right? So one play, two movies, two TV, and part of the deal is he's going to produce theater now. So he's going to become like a influence dealer. Like another way for him to be an influencer is he's going to actually be having a discretionary fund that he can use to fund different things. So it's going to be a way for him to kind of generate an even more following of acolytes or a circle of sycophants. Because now he's the guy with money to throw around to win people over, right? So it's kind of like but anyway, this is the latest thing. Zola screenwriter Jeremy O'Harris signs with IMG Models exclusive. Playwright Slave Play on Broadway received 12 Tony nominations, an all-time record for a new play, by the way. It beats Angels in America. So it's the most nominated new play for Tonys ever in the history of plays, including one for Best Play. Broadway slave play author and Zolo movie co-writer Jeremy Harris has signed with IMG Models. IMG Models will look to secure global brand endorsements, creative collaborations, and editorial opportunities for Harris in the fashion industry. It's such a wonderful opportunity to be working with IMG worldwide in this capacity. For me, having a relationship with fashion was about nonverbal storytelling, another entry point to incite an interest in the stories I tell in the theater. Like, what does any of this mean, right? But part of what he was doing is, and this is true, he has been walking runways. So he's going on runways and walking in fashion shows, and he goes on these runways and so he went to a Paris Fashion Week and was breakdancing on the runway. He's walked in several shows. So it's like, dude, what are you? Are you a model? Are you a playwright? Like what? Like you're doing fashion consulting, you're fashion, and that's what like an influencer does. If you ever look at an influencer's Instagram page, they're always doing 50 things. Like what they really are is a personality, and they'll push tummy tea today. They'll push a new show. Hey, I just watched this TV show. I love it. Here's a pair of shoes that I like. Um, who are these people's agents? Well, it depends. There's some pretty big agents. Like for example, the Black Lives Matter woman, Patrice Colores, I mentioned here several times that she has CAA, Creative Artists Agency, the hugest. That's Will Smith's agency. She just got them as an agent, and they inked her a huge overall deal with Warner Media. Like people have actual celebrity agents, right? And she's also still trying to work as a political surrogate. She has Will Smith's agent That's what I'm saying. And she writes on TV shows. She's an activist. She's trying to get into Biden's cabinet and campaign. And she's on a TV show as a on the writing staff, and she also has an overall deal with Warner Media. It's kind of crazy, but these are literally among the same people that are in this New York Times story. Like I kind of want to paint a picture about, like, it's not like I want to make clear, it's not like these types of people are just in different industries. So you have these types, and this is the group in politics, and then you have the influencer blue checks that are in movies, then these influencer blue checks that are in TV, and these influencer blue checks that are in fashion, and they all happen to act alike. I'm not saying not only do they act alike in different industries, these are often literally many times the same people just bouncing around. That's how you can't take them seriously. Like, picture Martin Luther King was trying to also write scripts for Star Trek to make sure that Uhuru got was portrayed accurately, and also try to get a walk-on role too, as in Alien or something, you know. And also he was doing runway shows for Pierre Cardin. It's But I guess it's normal now because society is just influencerized. Um, yeah, he went around. It's like minstrelry. He went and did breakdancing on the Paris runway, and you can imagine what the crowd was like. Yeah, but I think there's a video of it floating around, and I refused to click on it because I just didn't want to get enraged. Um, but however, the time coincided with a rough stretch in Ms. Warren's campaign. Um, Actually, let me skip ahead. Throughout the campaign, Ms. Warren has won plaudits from elite Black and Latino Democrats, both those in the more traditional party establishment and outsiders. She was praised as a model for how white candidates could use political proposals and rhetoric to highlight their values, and a testament to the importance of bringing a diverse staff who could advocate the finer points of minority outreach, like engaging with the Black and Latino press. Let me ask you, how many Black people you know really fucks with John Legend like that? At least in the last couple of years, maybe in the 2000s, but I mean, he's kind of gone. He's crossed over to Hollywood. I mean, he was in La La Land, and I feel like that's more his audience now. The people who like La La Land than actual most working class Black people, right? So Alicia Garza's quoted again, said aides and surrogates from Ms. Warren's campaign continue to point to these moments, arguing that they will eventually have an electoral payoff come Super Tuesday and beyond. We know how that turned out. They play down the Nevada results because the early vote took place before her lauded debate performance, and they look past South Carolina, arguing candidates who have a higher name recognition have disrupted the playing field. Yeah, disrupted the playing field by actually hiring real political surrogates and not just a bunch of influencers who are just bullshitters doing a bust out. Um, and here's what Alicia Garza said. She has had a year to build her profile and name recognition, and Sanders has had 4 years to do that, Ms. Garza said. And in South Carolina, they'd vote for Biden not because of his policies, it's because he says Obama in every sentence. And here's what I'm going to ask you. If that's all it takes to undo the work that you did, then what's the point of having you? Say you're right. Say that's all he had to do. If all he has to do is say Obama a bunch of times, and that outweighs all of you guys put together, then do you guys really have any sway with Black voters? Why are you there? You shouldn't be there. Like, you're making yourself look bad. It's not helping. Um, Nalini Stamp, National Organizing Director with Working Families Party, another progressive group that has endorsed Ms. Warren, said there is still time for Miss Warren's popularity among widely known activists to pay off, right? So she's part of In Black Women For. She goes, and just look at the support Senator Warren has gotten across the board, Ms. Stamp said. It's a movement, it's movement people, leaders of organizations and individuals. In Black Women For, Women with the X, we have 400 women and gender non-conforming folk. And that's kind of the problem right there, is that these people can never focus because they're always on the intersectionality tip, and they're always black and brown, black and queer. If you're talking about black outreach, why are you throwing in gender non-conforming? Like, if it's an article about gay outreach, mention gender non-conforming. Like, if this was an article about gender outreach, I don't think you would say, if you're talking to Out Magazine or The Advocate, yeah, we did things for gender non-conforming and women and black people. The gay people would be like, why are you bringing up the other stuff? Like, it's nice, but for these people, black means black and always. Like, nothing can ever just be black. It's always black people are the mules, or they have to be the thing that lifts all boats. Right now, Nalini Stamp, we talked about her a couple of weeks ago. Remember that person with that organization that had a bunch of black people dancing at the polls on election day? Do y'all remember that? We talked about it was a bunch of black people dancing, and it went viral, and they made it look like it was some natural, spontaneous dance thing. And it turned out that it was staged by these people. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but that is Nalini Stamp. Nalini Stamp is the one who had those black people dancing. She staged that stunt. Now, what these people are trying to do is, they were all for Warren. Um, Warren got stomped out. Biden won, and they're all kind of buck dancing really hard on some "Notice Me Senpai" shit with Biden. You know, like, they bet on the wrong horse. It didn't work out. Biden was kind of written off, and Biden ended up winning, and they put in no inroads with him. And not only that, Biden, which I'm going to show later, didn't even like return their calls. Biden was like, new phone, who this? You know what I mean? Um, so now they're really scrambling because it became clear he was going to be the candidate. Then he did become the candidate, and yeah, so she was the one organizing the political flash mobs. A lot of these names that you're going to see in the Warren article, I'm done with the Warren article, but if you look at the Warren article, um, those are all people now buck dancing for Biden and on some "Notice Me Senpai" shit. It's really crazy. But they're good at being influencers. Like, she made that viral flash mob, go viral. So if you look here, the delight thousands of people witnessed online was the result of work being done by Nalini Stamp, 32, the director of Working Families Party and the campaign director for Election Defenders. All these people have like 6, 7 organizations that they keep changing the names of as they, change the grift. So it was Black Women For with the X in it at the time of Warren's campaign in that article. Now, while she's campaigning for Biden and with these dancing people, now it's Election Defenders is her organization. And this is the stage dancing vote flash mob. Where they were dancing to the cha-cha slide. And she's also part of this organization called Joy to the Polls. And it's also a group called the Resistance Revival Chorus, which all of it is part of Movement for Black Lives, the stuff that got money from George Soros. It's like a labyrinthine octopus of maps, but it's all under Movement for Black Lives. In the previous episode, we traced all this and I described it. I cannot remember the name of that episode. If anyone remembers it, let me know. But like these names are like recurring actors that keep popping up in a bad melodrama, or like bad apples that keep turning up. Um, yeah, Simone Sanders went from Bernie to Biden. She's the only one to bet right. Yeah, so yeah, they're all trying to justify their importance and begging the Biden folks for jobs. But like again, this is what I want to ask you. After seeing the evidence of how they were not able to get out the black vote for Elizabeth Warren, to what extent do you really believe they had anything to do with Biden's black performance? Right? Like, two things to consider. First, Warren came in fifth. She actually lost with the black vote everywhere she went. And, they all got wiped out with black voters in every state that they primaried and caucused in, with these people in the corner. And these people, unsolicited, these people were like freelancing. They were doing, it's like a spec script. They were doing stuff for Biden without him even hiring them. Like, we're going to act like your surrogates, even though you haven't even hired us and you won't return our calls. That same old waving our arms to pretend that we're bringing in the tides. And even with all that crazy stuff they were doing, what ended up happening? He lost ground with everyone except for white men. Like black women voting for Trump went up. Black men voting for Trump went up. Everything went up. So they've kind of shown their ass twice. And so if you look here, Resistance Revival Chorus is the name. I mean, I went through this whole map of stuff. End of the day, all you need to know is that it all leads to the head organization moving for Black Lives. I think the reason why they keep making new names and subsidiaries is A, to move the money around so it's easier to like launder it and hide where it goes. And second, a lot of these organizations like Movement for Black Lives, everyone knows now that the Ford Foundation and all these people kind of fund it. Yeah, so Ford Foundation has donated a bunch of money to Movement for Black Lives. And some people said that Ford Foundation donated to Black Lives Matter, but it's really Moving for Black Lives, but they're all cronies. They're all together. Some people, oh, it's so some people will be like, oh, it doesn't, they didn't give to Black Lives Matter. They gave to Movement for Black Lives, but those people all work together, and people float back and forth, and people find ways to get involved in Movement for Black Lives operations. People like Alicia Garza and those people, they've definitely made money off of things done by Movement for Black Lives, and vice versa. You know, um, but Movement for Black Lives is a coalition of like at one time 50 black led organizations, but I think now they might have hundreds of and they keep making new sub organizations and all these different things, right? So they made Resistance Rival Chorus. That Black Women For with the X was probably one of them. And anyway, people are obsessed with this video of voters in Philadelphia doing a cha-cha slide. And I talked about this before, so I won't talk about it too much, but voters dancing while waiting in line in Philadelphia as part of the Joy to the Polls initiative. So that's one of the organizations. Each of these is a separate organization or subsidiary of the other or sister organization. I don't even understand all the mapping. So Joy to the Polls, Resistance Revival Chorus, Black Women For. There was that other name that she was also using that I didn't even know about, Election Defenders. That's another one that was claiming credit for this. It had to do with Nalini Stamp, but here it goes. The delight thousands of people witnessed online was the result of work being done by Nalini Stamp, campaign director for election defenders. Um, and Stamp's work is twofold. With election defenders, there's the fun aspect. Joy to the Polls, which kicked off Saturday in Pennsylvania for the inaugural vote early day. And that's a roving concert that highlights local talent. Um, but when you actually look at the talent, it's all women and non-gender conforming. So it's like a bunch of women, not even all of them are black, and they're all like kind of queer or non-gender conforming. So again, it's the same dilution that these people always compulsively do, and they put these fake flash mobs that try to fool um people who retweet into thinking it's some kind of spontaneous black joy. You know, like white people can't get enough of those joyful while suffering black folk. You know, um, so if you look um, a few members of the Resistance Revival Chorus, a collective of women and non binary artists and activists who joined together to breathe joy and song into the resistance, participated in the viral moment. The chorus is the kind of local talent Stamp wants to benefit from the joy to the polls elected. So these people are always letting people wet their beak again. So she goes from the Warren thing. They already busted that thing out. They go over to the Biden thing. They can't get hired as official surrogates, so they're just going viral on their own, doing stuff on spec, hoping notice me, senpai. Biden will notice them and eventually let them in. Meanwhile, they're letting the subgroup Resistance Revival Chorus, which is not even a black group, it's a collective of women and non-binary artists and activists, some of whom will turn out to happen to be black, but it's not really a black thing. They're not even letting, like, these people are not real grassroots. That's why these people aren't real grassroots black movements, where they can't move black votes. Like, they can't even bring in real black organizations. Why are you bringing a collective of women and non-binary artists and activists and then trying to masquerade this as a black flash mob of local black folk, grassroots working class black folk who are gleefully dancing on the plantation? Because of the pandemic, many creators have not been able to do their typical gigs in order to make money. Stamp, partnering with local talent, is able to actually give them a stipend, which is like putting fuel into the artist community again. But those artists, those aren't black themed artists. They're women and non-binaries. So yeah. So what is this? Resistance Revival chorus, And then if you look at pictures of them, like they're not even, if you go to like the Facebook page or look at pictures of them, they don't even, they're mostly like white people. They're not even, you find a good picture of them. Like if you Google Resistance Revival Chorus and look at the pictures, and again, that's the reason why they can't even get. Okay, here we go. I found it. This is a picture of Resistance Revival Chorus. Can y'all see this? Is it enough? This is a Google image search. Tell me if you need it enlarged. Tell me if this helps. Someone said Lady Liberty. Do you know somebody interviewed her and credited that Lady Liberty clap for democracy thing for Biden winning with the black vote? Like, isn't that crazy? Yeah, yeah. So these people were like lie. Yeah, but yeah, look, if you look at all these pictures, they put like one big black woman in the front as if like somehow like her size is going to fool people into thinking there's more black people there or something. But look at these pictures. They're not black, they're a mix of races, but they keep putting the black woman in the front as if it's gonna hide that most of them aren't black. This is not so it's not a black organization eating off of this stuff. Here's a color picture so you can really see. This picture will show you how few. I count one, two, three, four, five, six, seven black women, maybe some biracial looking ones, and some Asians, some whites, and to me this is really a queer organization, a queer feminist organization, and but they use the dancing plantation imagery um to kind of make this into a viral working class slaves dancing on the plantation happily while they work type of thing, you know. But yeah, um which now the reason I put all that is because I want to show you how these people travel. They're like journeymen. They just go from Democratic campaign to Democratic campaign. That Frederick T. Joseph person, after he tanked Warren, and well, he was not single handedly. They all worked together to tank Warren. It was a perverse form of, teaming up. Oh, if you want to see something funny too, this is funny. Um, actually, I'm not. I'm not going to forget what I was going to talk about. But anyway, if you look at we're gonna look at the date real quick to put together a narrative, right? I want you all to see the date that South Carolina happened, right? But try to put all this together into a picture, right? So now you have people jumping around from place to place. Nalini Stamp is in this article talking about Joe Biden. No, Nalini Stamp's talking about Warren and how she's doing all this stuff and she has them supporting, so the black people are gonna get her over. And Black Women For women spelled WOMXN. For some reason, she stops mentioning them around the time of Biden. When Biden comes around, now she's in Biden's camp and she's part of Election Defenders and Joy to the Polls and is bringing along resistance revival, whatever, non-binary women group, glee club, to wet their beaks on that grift. But now she's not doing it officially for a campaign like she was before. These people are kind of like homeless grifters right now. Other names: Frederick T. Joseph. He was brought in by Warren as a surrogate. He wet his beak a couple of times. For some reason, I don't know why. I liked Bernie overall, but I don't know why he brought in Frederick T. Joseph as a surrogate. Because at least with white liberals actually like these people, these NPR tote bag white liberals. They like these people. It's just that the actual black people on the ground don't like them. But Bernie supporters, white supporters, and those white leftists, they don't like Frederick T. Joseph. Like, he doesn't even have the ears of the white people in Bernie's camp, so he's truly getting no one. And I don't know why Bernie fell for that black influencer grift. But anyway, February 28th, 2020 was when that South Carolina thing happened, right? Warren dropped out of the presidential race. I forget exactly when. Warren dropped out the presidential race in March. That's when it was. And when was Biden known to be the last one left in the campaign? When was it known he was going to be the last one left? Does anyone know? So it's like February, you know, um, Warren basically got her ass served to her in a decisive way. Um, Joe Biden kind of became the front runner. Everyone else started dropping out, but Warren took the longest. Warren dropped out in March. I think she might have been the last holdout of the big people left. But anyway, by May, this all set the stage for by May, it's known that Biden is the person, right? So everyone's with me so far. Thank you for being patient. If you're enjoying what we're talking about, Venmo or Cash App us at Champagne Sharks, or PayPal us at champagnesharks@gmail.com, or super sticker, super chat. It's always, all of it's always appreciated. And thanks for anyone who's been donating. I haven't had a chance to look, but as usual, if you enjoy what we do, it's up to you. Feel free to show your appreciation. If not, we still love you anyway. We just love you a little bit less. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no, not really. But anyway, we have this thing right here. And this is where we started out. Oh, iSound Info, thanks a lot for coming out. iSound Info is headed to bed. We always appreciate you, brother. So this puts us back where we started. These people right now, they're all campaigning. This is all to set the stage so you understand what you're going to watch right now. None of these people thought Biden was going to win the nomination. They all bet on other horses that all lost. And this is basically them coming hat in hand, but pretending that they're coming with the upper hand, like we're going to bring you the votes. And this is what they came. They did a group open letter viral video to Biden in the opinion page of the Washington Post. Opinion: Vice President Biden, you need to black women voters. This is how to win us. And what doesn't work about this is black women keep talking about they're the most loyal, trusted base of the Democratic Party. So Democrats already think they have you anyway, but they're still going to try to spin it into that they're a precarious group that has to be won. So black women are the Democrats' most reliable voting bloc. You don't lead off something like this with that. It's ass backwards. Saying, hey, I'm always there for you, no matter how many times you cheat or whatever. I've shown you this. This is why I need you to stop cheating, and here are the reasons. And by starting off with that, you're basically leading off your bargaining by reminding the person of how likely you are not to leave. It's not really smart, but for some reason, this is how these people work. Black women, the Democrats' most reliable voting bloc. Here's how Joe Biden can win them over in the election. I actually read this part already, so I'm not going to read it. We're just going to play the video.
Biden, you need us. You owe us.
You owe us.
Black women are miracle workers.
We have been saving the Democratic Party since 1965.
2020 is no different.
Your only path to victory is through Black women.
The voters who need to turn out, we know how to mobilize them. Our votes must not be taken for granted.
Now, notice that part. That part is funny. She says, we know how to mobilize them. That part is funny.
The following commitments will begin to show Black voters that you are serious about us.
America needs a
to turn out, we know how to mobilize.
2020 is.
I just want to repeat that because it's worth pointing out. These people just came off multiple campaigns where they couldn't deliver the black vote, and one where they humiliatingly really couldn't deliver it. And to have the audacity to just tell people like Joe Biden can't just look for himself, or his people can't just look for themselves and know that you can't deliver the vote. Like, just bold-faced lie like that. I just love it. Well, here we go again.
Is no different.
Your only path to victory is through Black women.
The voters who need to turn out, we know how to mobilize them.
And black women went down 4% for the Democratic Party when the actual election came about.
Our votes must not be taken for granted.
The following commitments will begin to show Black voters that you are serious about us.
America needs a Black woman vice president.
Someone asked if that was Amanda Seals. I said, Black women voters, we know how to mobilize them. And yes, it was her. Good ear.
Candidates like Amy Klobuchar will not energize us. America needs a Black woman Supreme Court justice.
Remember Anita Hill? We do.
America needs more in a comprehensive Black agenda.
The rules are rigged against our communities.
Whether we are talking about a Black person who died of COVID-19 because of the lack of access to health care,
Or Ahmaud Arbery being killed by vigilantes.
Or Breonna Taylor, an EMT killed by police while laying in her bed. We deserve solutions that address systemic racism, economic injustice, and domestic terrorism.
Joe Biden, you enacted drug and crime laws that harmed the Black community for generations.
Every major crime bill since 1976, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill.
You say you know better now. Show us you're serious by doing better.
This country has a problem.
police officers and vigilantes are killing us, and our quality of life must improve.
Joe Biden, this must be addressed.
You must address our oppression and, most importantly, embrace our power to win the White House.
Vice President Biden, your campaign's mission is to restore the soul of America.
There is no restoration without us.
Now, here's my question to you. What is all this about save democracy, restore the soul, restore the heart? Like, this is politics. You have to bargain for tangibles. The only tangible they actually asked for were representation, like get a vice president, get a Black woman vice president, get a Black woman Supreme Court justice. But there's no actual real tangibles there. You know, it's just neo-mammyism. It's just mammy talk, magical Negro talk, you know, of how they're going to save everyone and we're going to save your soul. This is it's just magical Negro talk through and through. But I want to show this next. This is because remember, these people are influencers and they're part of what I call like an academia, media, pundit, politician, industrial complex where they're all kind of greasing each other's, scratching each other's backs, greasing. I'm mixing all my metaphors, but this came out around the same time. So they do this thing, right? They pump it up to go viral. And then right after that, without, I'm just going to put it up so you can see. Joy Reid does this story. Damn it. Let me ad block. Let me get this out of the way. So Joy Reid does this story and it comes out like right after this thing comes out. And the story is that Biden's VP pick discussed in viral op-ed by Black women. And she doesn't make it seem like she's just covering a story. Oh, this op-ed went viral. Yeah, but this is coordinated. You guys are all friends. And you all work together. And what you did, there's gonna be an ad, so let me let the ad play. What you did is you knew they were gonna do this ad, and then you coordinated to have them on to talk about their own ad and just play dumb that it went viral. But you knew it was gonna go viral. It didn't go viral like organically. It's Washington Post, and you're pushing it. Like viral is when something is organic. You know what I'm saying? Like it spreads, like something happens on the ground and people just keep tweeting it and retweeting it, and it gains traction and hits a tipping point. That is what virality is. this is not viral. This is something that's in this is in Washington Post and New York Times, and then a bunch of coordinated blue checks. That's like doing biological warfare and then acting like it's a natural COVID spread. That's not virality. You know, that's abuse of the word. This is PR. PR from people with media legacy platforms. That's not virality. That's an organized PR campaign. And it might sound like, you know, splitting hairs like tea, the same thing, but you know, it's not. This thing is frozen. Let me try it again and see if I can get it unfrozen. But it's on the MSNBC site, so it's full of they have a surprisingly buggy site. Like, their site is buggy MSNBC, like Bossip or one of those media takeout sites. It's that bad. I don't know who designed MSNBC's site, but it is buggy and slow as hell. It's probably full of viruses. I'm lucky I'm on a Mac looking at this website. I think I'd rather be on media. Okay, it's a really bad site. They have one of the worst native. They have one of the worst native apps I've ever seen. Native media players on a site, but for some reason they don't put these clips up on YouTube. So I have to use. Well, you know what I mean. Like, whether you think COVID is natural or not, the way that it spread once it was out there, I think had a lot to do with natural transmission, whether it was created in a lab or not. I'm talking about the spreading pattern is natural. That's what I mean. Not its origins. But okay, here we go. I think I have it all queued up, right? So they have this fake story with a panel of these types of Black women, including some of the ones who were in the thing, Alicia Garza and Amanda Seales, and you know, talking about their own op-ed and how it went viral. As even if 20 people wrote it, they were going to have this story and say it went viral. This was already planned, but the fact that it was on such a big platform and all these influencers, and I'll give them credit, that is one good thing that they're good at. They're good at making things trend, you know? So they had them on to talk about it. And listen to what she says. This is important. Listen to this. Alicia Garza comes out.
Was named specifically because she, in essence, is somewhat of a symbol for the failed strategy that the Democratic Party continues. Klobuchar was named specifically because she, in essence, is somewhat of a symbol for the failed strategy that the Democratic Party continues to pursue.
Now, what she's saying is, she's saying in the ad in question that you guys just saw in Washington Post, in that op-ed, they called out Amy Klobuchar specifically because she's an emblem of a failed strategy, you know, focusing on white women, white people. And because at the time, Amy Klobuchar was being vetted as his most likely pick. It was very much looking like it was going to be Amy Klobuchar. And that's one of the things they're trying to get ahead of, because the main reason they want a Black woman in there is that they're hoping they can get an entry into Biden's campaign through the Black woman. Because Biden's old school Delaware 2000s politics, the Black people that he's going to use, he already has blocked out. He has Karina Pierre and the old Obama heads, like, who aren't like Karina Pierre is not an influencer. She's a legit political operative with the chops to do with, who came up the old way. She's, even though she's young, like Joe Biden is not Elizabeth Warren. He's old school and two-fisted. He's an old white man, and he's not open to the bust out. They're hoping to get a Black woman in there who they can then make amenable to the bust out. That's what they're trying to do. That's the real reason why they're really pushing to get a Black woman in there. They can't see an in for jobs and the grifting through Biden. Biden is too old school. So anyway, let's go on.
In relationship to trying to woo, you know, Midwestern swing voters who are essentially independents and have not been convinced by the Democratic Party that is.
First of all, that doesn't make sense. The fact that they haven't been convinced is more reason why you need to convince them. which makes them actually more important to seduce. Like pointing out that you're more reliable and loyal and unflinching, unwaveringly in the tank is not a good way to convince him not to take Amy Klobuchar and appeal to you instead. He's just like, hey, you have 94% of us, and we have 94% of us, and we're 6% of the population. Don't you really want to get that last 4% of 6% of the U.S. population? You know, don't you want to get 98? You know, and again, 94 out of 6%. It's important, but you know, the Midwest white people, that's a big open field. If you get even like 1% more of them proportionally, that's big, especially because a lot of them are in swing states, right? So these people don't even make good arguments. I don't understand how they're political operatives.
Is their political home. I can also say, quite frankly, that this isn't, as you know, Brittany said, this is not a hostage note, but in essence, we are the canaries in the coal mine.
So again, she's saying the same thing that Amanda Seales said in the last one. We can, again, waving the hands in front of the ocean, we can bring you the votes, or we can make everybody stay home, which again has been disproven by Warren a couple months ago in February, just 3 months earlier. So it's a kind of bold play to keep saying, and he's not dumb. He has real political analysts looking at this stuff. It appeared in the New York Times. Like, everyone reads the New York Times. You think Biden's people missed that story? You know, so it's empty threats, but you see how big the push is to find a way in there, and that's why they want this black woman in there. They're hoping she's their last ditch effort to get in there, because Biden has them panicking. If Biden wins and he gets Klobuchar is gonna. I mean, Klobuchar throws staples at her own staff. Like, Klobuchar abuses white women. You think she's gonna let these people in? And if she does let them in, she's gonna start throwing shoes at their naturals. They don't want to be getting shoes thrown at them by a white woman. That's not.
What we are saying is our communities are not being engaged. We have not been interacting with this campaign despite having made overtures to it. And what we're seeing in terms of voting patterns.
I wanted you to see. Did you hear that part? We have not been responded to despite making multiple overtures to them. Let's put that one more time. I want to paint a picture here. That's all I want to see.
We are the canaries in the coal mine.
Listen again.
What we are saying is our communities are not being engaged. We have not been interacting with this campaign.
We have not been interacting with this campaign.
Despite having made overtures to it.
Despite having made overtures to it. That is the key. That is the key. We have not been interacting with this campaign despite making multiple overtures to it. That's the whole game. So she admitted right there that they have no in. They want in, they can't get in. So, you know, if you think I am making this up or just speculating, like, these people give it away. If you read between the lines or just listen to, you know, they say the quiet parts. Well, she pretended to talk about blacks in general, but she's talking about their crew. Yeah, so that's what she's talking about. She admitted, like, we can't get in with you the way we could with Warren, the way we could with some of us could get in with Sanders. You're close to us. And she admitted that they made multiple overtures. So they like to present themselves as power players, but they hit. And she's not talking about blacks. They never talk about blacks in general. They're always really talking about themselves. So that is the problem here. That's what all these people are doing. And Kamala, that's their hope. And maybe it'll pay off to a certain degree. Who knows? Maybe Warren's going to let them in, but I'm not hopeful for that. And I'll tell you why right now. So you guys see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to show y'all one more thing. I've played this before, but I've set it up to this is to add context. When I say all this stuff, when you have the right context and the right background, you can look at other things and things get kind of clear. You get to kind of understand what was happening. So I'm going to show y'all something else. So I have a couple of clips. I've played them before. I have them set up so that they can play. And also, if you're enjoying this, share it. Like, if you haven't liked this, you should definitely like it. Just hit like. It takes no problem. But share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on your socials. Let people know that we're up in here. And this is one I want to show. I hope the audio plays. Let me know if this audio plays. Last time I couldn't get this program to play, and I hope it plays because let's see. Are you guys able to hear that? Someone in the chat tell me, because there's a little bit of lag between what I play and what you see. Let me know if you can hear that. You can't hear it? Damn it. I hate this aspect of, damn it, no sound. How can I make this? There's gotta be a way. Let me try something. I have a way. Ingenuity. I have a way to make this play. This should work. Tell me if this works. This is Ice Cube bringing on Alicia Garza. Tell me if this works. Yeah, Roland might flag it, but I think this is fair use. I'm not going to play too much of it. Let me know if this makes the sound play.
We released it in 2019.
So Cube, here was this initiative that they put together, and I would love. And again, when we had you on last time, and Reese was talking about the lack of stuff when it comes to Black women, and you said, "Hey, you love to hear from her." I would love for the two of you to actually talk about this, because both of
now Roland is very obsessed with getting them to meet, because Ice Cube actually had Biden's campaign get back to him. Maybe they didn't want to move on his plan, but they got back to him and they told him they'd meet after the election. And they also now that Ice Cube is going viral for meeting with Trump, now they have more reason to possibly meet with him before the election. Right now, Ice Cube is hot. Roland has trouble getting in with these people. I'm going to give you proof of that later on. And now we know, based on what I've shown you, that Garza cannot get them to return her calls or whatever. And she was kind of talking shit about Biden and them in that New York Times article. You know, she was like, no, Biden's not the move. Warren's where to go. This is because they thought he was safe to bash. At the time, he was a sundowning guy who was in fourth place. They weren't expecting that major operation by Obama and company to make everyone in front of Biden drop out and pull all their support to Biden. So he was the safe guy to bash. He was actually a joke at the time. It's easy to forget. So anyway, Ice Cube's got heat, and they're hoping that they can ride his coattails to meet Biden. But also, if Trump wins, they don't want to meet with Trump. They can't meet with Trump. It's not going to work for them. So they can't ride his coattails to that. So there's two things they want here. They want him to give up on meeting with Trump, because if that happens, they can't for their reputations meet with Trump. And second, because they depend on white liberals in a way that Ice Cube doesn't. Ice Cube has more of a grassroots black following. They have a white liberal following. So playing both sides is a no-no for them, right? And so they need him to only fuck with Biden, and number one. And number two, bring us in with you, because we need any way in that we can get.
You want to really achieve the same thing, and that is achieve things for Black people. And so, Alicia, go right ahead. If you have a question for Ice Cube, you got a question for Alicia, go ahead.
Hey, Cube, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. So, I mean, I guess my first question would be, you know, we're in the midst of an incredible movement moment. Folks are all over the country, have been organizing for over 7 years, if not longer, trying to turn Black Lives Matter into a movement that can impact not just protest, but also policy. I did have a chance to read both versions of the contract with Black America, and I'm just curious, are there activists or organizers in this movement that you've been connected to who have been...
That's her kind of, she's putting in her bid. she's like, are there, you know, as saying, she's hoping the answer is no, so she can say, you need me. Like, she's so transparent with her basic push, you know? You know, it's kind of like, so do you have a boyfriend? You know, like, it's like that person that just leads off with that, you know, but acting like they showed up for tutoring, you know?
Doing some of this legislative advocacy and policy advocacy work.
Yeah, we connected with ADOS, and you know, we helped get a bill passed in California. Governor Gavin Newsom passed.
So this is not the answer she wanted, because she wanted him to say no. And now he said, oh yeah, I got a bunch, but A, they're not you, and B, they're people that you hate and also that hate you and won't work with you. Like, they're like your mortal enemies. Like they're the people who will advocate against you. So and also by saying that, they probably put a lot of things in his head about Alicia Garza and her hustle. Put a lot of stuff in his head.
That's AB 3121, which starts the conversation about reparations in California. So we have been connected with, you know, a grassroots organization. We want to connect with as many grassroots organizations who are not connected to any other so-called powers that be.
So he's basically saying we don't want to be with anyone who's powers that be means the Democrats. Like, he's taking a little polite digs at her. Like, we don't want to be with people who have, or other powers that be, as in white liberals, Democrats. You guys are all trying to find the richest white person to be in bed with. And he knows that. He doesn't want to be part of the game.
Strictly grassroots.
Strictly grassroots, not grass tops. Remember what the article said about with Warren? It said these people aren't grassroots, the grass tops. We keep saying strictly grassroots. It's like a little shot against them, saying it's not going to happen. And again, using the girlfriend analogy, it's like the guy says, yeah, I have a girlfriend, and you know, and keeps making it clear it's never going to happen. And the person just, it's like the Positive K MC Light video, like, no, the Positive K, like I got a man, like, what's your man got to do with me? Like, you know, he just doesn't give up. She's like Positive K here. She's like, you know, what's your grassroots got to do with me? I got a grassroots. I ain't trying to hear that, B.
Definitely want to connect with them. People who definitely have no ulterior motives, who really just want to see money get in the hands of the people who built this country, and the ancestors and family of the people that built this country.
Do you think that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization?
So
something like the First Step Act when it's convenient for him, and talks mess about it when it's not. I don't have any confidence that the amount of power has been built actually to get these things done. I don't fault you for trying to move an agenda, but I don't think we can take any shortcuts here. And
I don't think we take any shortcuts. He's accusing him of taking shortcuts. The shortcut is not going with her. Like, she's skipping her as a shortcut. See, this is that mob thinking. Like, this is my territory. You know, you don't sell drugs in my territory. You don't operate my territory without paying tribute. You know, you don't just wet your beak without me. She's trying to be a Don.
I certainly don't think we can jump the line.
I certainly don't think we can jump the line. She straight up accused him of jumping the line. But who dedicated this line? Who like, she's basically accusing him of not following mob rules, and he's not even part of this mob. Like that's crazy. Yeah, someone said Don Garza, but yeah, that was crazy that she even said that. That's arrogant. She said it with a smile. Like that's how white women threaten you. She threatens like a white woman, not like a black woman. Like black women threaten you. Like that's what makes white women so scary. Like they will threaten you with a smile. Like you could tell she grew up with white privilege. Her stepdad is white, and she grew up Alicia Schwartz, and she moved in white circles, and you can tell by how she moves. She studied white people. Like she throw shade like a white woman, not like a black woman.
And, it would be one thing if people actually weren't working on this every day.
As in, we were here first, as if people weren't working here every day, but people are working here every day besides you. He's just being with the people who are working every day who aren't you. You don't have, there's not an official mafia where you actually really do have, well, I guess if you worship like white liberals, then you have been officially designated, but he's not being a white liberal. He is not a Democrat. The Democrats gave you this territory, but it turns out the territory is wide open. There's other people in the same territory. They offer you an exclusive territory they didn't have the right to. Yeah, so going on.
Imagine what we could do together, Cube, if I had access to a platform
Hold on.
You may say, imagine what we could do if I had access to your platform. She didn't even offer a trade. She just said, like, what's the trade? Like, she tried to make it sound like it was a trade. Like, she was gonna, but all she says, get in line, whatever. Imagine what we could do. But you didn't even say what you were gonna bring to him. Really? You just kind of said some kind of vague thing. Like, you only said was, we've been here longer. But if anything, the fact you've been here longer and you can't get your foot in the door is actually a reason for me not to bring you along. Like, that would be like you standing outside of a club for an hour and I can't get in. And then I see you about to skip the line, like you look flyer than me, and I tell you, hey, I've been standing on this line longer. You should try to bring me in with you. Imagine what we could do if we get in together. And you're clearly the flyer one. You clearly have the entourage and the pull or whatever that's getting you to skip the line. I've been on this line forever, and the bouncers for some reason are not letting me in. Why would I bring you in? All you're gonna do is increase the likelihood that I might not get in. I'm already getting in the door. What, like the same thing with the voting thing. They don't really make sense as far as giving people incentives. They actually argue against themselves when they're trying to market themselves. That's why I kind of think Elizabeth Warren was a weird mark, because I just can't see being taken in by these people. Like, Biden, to his credit, like maybe it's because of his sundowning or whatever, or his stubborn old ways, he just did not fall for these people's stuff.
Hold on.
And he takes issue with the line thing, and I love it. Hold on.
But I don't have.
Hold on, Alicia. I know Cube has to go, but Cube, go.
This contract
go ahead.
Has been out for months, so there's been, if anybody wanted to work with me.
Now, what he's saying is his contract has been out for months. So if anybody wants to work with him, they could. But the reason why they didn't care about the contract was he wasn't getting heat. They didn't care about anything in the contract. They didn't care about helping black people. It was when they found out he had access to Trump and Biden, and he spoke to both of them, and they were seriously entertaining him. That's when they cared. So that's the point that he's making. He's making a very smart point here. Someone said, "Why is her hair blonde?" I think to kind of add the white woman fear. She's trying to pull some white woman power, because a lot of black men are more afraid of unfortunately, sad state of affairs, more afraid of a white woman than they are of a black woman. So maybe she wanted to activate some kind of white woman fear reflex in Cube.
Been open invitation from day one to work together, make the platform better, and nobody has or very few have come out to do that. So I'm not gonna wait to get nobody's line.
See, I'm not gonna wait to get in nobody's
if
line.
I feel like I could speak for Black people, I'm gonna go speak for Black people.
Alicia.
That's just it.
So he's like, I don't need your permission. I don't need to get in anybody's line. I don't recognize your authority. I don't recognize the authority of the people who claim this was your territory. I'm infringing on your territory, and you have no authority here anyway. There's a new sheriff in town, and he doesn't even recognize you. The person that gave you the authority, which was at the time Boss Warren, she got rubbed out, and the new boss Biden, told me he doesn't even know who you are. So that old contract you had with Boss Warren, that's old. She got rubbed out by Gotti, and Gotti's in charge now.
Yeah, I think accountability requires a movement. It's not done over a boardroom table. It's done by bringing folks with you. And so
which is ironic because her and all her people, all they do is spend time in boardroom tables. They're incorporated in Delaware for Pete's sake, and Patrice Coolers is represented by CAA and gets all around deals at Warner Media. Like, she's not in boardroom tables. Like, give me a break.
Excited to be working with, so many people across the country, the 30,000 people that we surveyed across all political ideologies, incomes, demographics, to really start to lock down not only what these policy issues look like, but also training people to be the people who are making the rules. And so again, Cube, I look forward to working with you.
So she ended that. She didn't ask, can I work with you? She goes, I look forward to working with you. That's a sales thing. When you act like you already sold the deal, you speak as if it's already happening. So that's I only cut her speaking parts, but that's really most of what she said. Most of what she said was just, work with you, bring me on, but also condescending, like I'm doing you a favor, like with that white girl smile and stuff. And yeah, so but when you watch that in context of the other stuff, that they were all in for Warren, they failed on the most public stage possible, and were covered in the most public place possible. New York Times, their failure was covered spectacularly. All eyes were on them when they flopped. If someone said, I look forward to working with you in the cover letter. Well, it didn't work for her, so don't go. You have evidence of how it failed. Passive aggression is part of Becky's powers. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, give me a break. But then she says in May, yeah, we can't, they're not returning our calls, right? Now, she can't, what they're trying to do now is take credit for Kamala getting picked, but to make clear, that op-ed did not get them picked. Did not get Kamala Harris picked. What happened was Biden was all on the road to get Klobuchar and was vetting her. Then Biden messed up very big on the Breakfast Club. And I knew he was going to mess up on the Breakfast Club because the Breakfast Club did not train political interviewers. They're not good shills, right? And this is why people who are not in the bag or who are not panderers or tokens are actually better at getting things done than people like this. All these people can do is wave their hands in front of the ocean and pretend they're moving the tides, like I said. But someone like Charlemagne, ironically, because Charlemagne is, not good at playing this kind of kiss ass game, I predicted that it was going to hurt him, because I was like, why is he gonna go on? Why is he gonna go on there? Every politician who goes on the Breakfast Club, because Charlemagne's such a troll, they end up getting in trouble and shooting themselves in the dick, whether it's Hillary Clinton in the hot sauce, whether it's Cory Booker or different people. He always kind of trolls them or pushes them into something, whereas if he was with one of these people, they would have totally softballed him and kissed his ass. And sure enough, Biden went on Charlemagne and just stepped on a bunch of rakes and hit himself in the face a bunch of times and said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And soon as that happened, it was terrible for him. If y'all remember that, that was when I think Klobuchar was dead in the water, and that's when I think he had to get Kamala Harris. Yeah. Oh, someone said my Breakfast Club prediction brought you here. Yeah, but I called as soon as he went on. I said when he goes on there, Charlemagne does not know. That's one of the good services that these type of people offer. The Joy Reid, the Alicia Garzas of the world and stuff like that is, they will not challenge you on anything if you're willing to pay them. They won't bring you any votes either, but, they won't actually get black people to vote for you. They don't know a thing about black people, but they know how to kiss white ass. So they know how to treat you nice. Charlemagne's like a troll, and that is one area where where Biden would have been better off going on with the Alicia Garzas and Joy Reids of the world. He would have went there. They would have told him why he needs to get a black woman, but they would have also been too afraid to push him, and they would have kissed his ass at the same time. He would have nodded and said, I'll get the best person for the job. And then he would have gotten Klobuchar. But Charlemagne trolled him and pushed him into saying that horrible thing. That's why Kamala Harris got in. It's not because of their influence, but knowing how they are, and they're going to pretend that they brought that tide in as well, right? So yeah, that's basically what happened. They dropped Klobuchar, they brought Kamala Harris in. So in February, they can't get their foot in the door with the Biden campaign. Kamala Harris gets put on, but not because of them, because Biden won't reach out to them. Biden goes in instead. He makes a smart move in not reaching out to them, but makes a dumb move in going on the Breakfast Club. That blows up in his face. That's what got him to nominate Kamala Harris, in my opinion, to kind of get people off his back about the racist thing. He cannot come back with a white woman after that. Oh, George Floyd killer. That's a great point too. Thank you for this. George Floyd killer also ruined Klobuchar's chances, because that's where Klobuchar was a DA from. Yeah, that's a great point as well. I forgot that the George Floyd. Yeah. For people who don't know, Klobuchar, in a 2006 case involving the officer charged in George Floyd's death, Klobuchar gave the guy a pass. And so she was elected to the Senate around the time that Derek Chauvin, the same officer seen kneeling on George Floyd's neck, was involved in a shooting that killed Wayne Reyes, a person who police said pointed off a sawed-off shotgun at officers, and she gave him a pass. So a lot of people, that killed her too. He could not announce a DA that went easy on the cop that killed George Floyd. So yeah, that's another thing that shows how these people had nothing to do with it, right? So we're going to end it soon, but but this is what I want to talk about. It's going too long, and I don't want it to go too much longer than 2 hours. So we're going to continue this tomorrow, actually, with some more stuff. We have a part 2 to this tomorrow. We're going to build on it some more. I'm trying to not do videos that go over 2 hours too often anymore, but I'm going to tie it into something really quick to bring you to today. I want to show you guys the kind of straits that we're in, because by the way that Alicia Garza is acting, we can tell that in this month, in November, from February to November, that's like 9 months. In 9 months, by the way she's acting with Ice Cube, she has not made much headway. It's very clear. She has not made much headway. So Biden is clearly not returning her calls still. They put all the eggs on all these other people. It didn't work. They even talked shit against Biden. And Biden has gotten everything he wanted without them. That's the most important part. He's gotten everything he's wanted without them. What does he need them for? He's gotten everything. He's South Carolina. These people were all in someone else's camp. That person came in 50, came in first with black voters. They've been tanking everyone's campaign they've been involved in, and he's been killing it with black voters with none of them in his camp. What need does he have to bring them in? They've done nothing for him. They've hurt everyone else. They've been his biggest weapon just by working for other people. You know, he doesn't want them to work their magic on him. He does not need that, right? So not only were they not able to bring any punishment to him, even their freelance on spec shilling. You know, for people to know what on spec is. On spec is when you, like, say I want to write for a TV show. The TV show won't give me a shot. They won't hire me. I write a script for free for the TV show and I send it in. And that's called writing on spec. And the hope is you do such a good job with that on spec script that they end up hiring you. This is on spec grifting. They say, if you're not going to hire us to be your grift, we're going to grift anyway. And then we're going to come to you for a job, you know, kind of like I wrote a script for you without you hiring me. Now you're hiring me in the writing staff based on how good the script was, except your on-spec grifting didn't really move anything. If anything, he did great without you in all the places he needs to do great. You came on and just in time for him to lose points with black men and black women, you know, you could promise and you could deliver people and you couldn't. Right. So, yeah, what reason does he have to help you? And I want to show this that came out after Biden won. Right. So after Biden won, Roland Martin tweets this. Roland Martin tweets, "Dear Dems." Let me put this on the big screen. Dear Dems, y'all gonna listen now when it comes to spending money on black-owned media? Y'all gonna listen now to spend money targeting black voters? Who saved your asses in 2020? Who salvaged this nation? Y'all gonna stop listening to white consultants and listen to black ones? So mainly, someone said Cube's meeting with Trump didn't go well, but I mean, it depends on what you think his goal was. I think his goal was to get people to pay attention to the issues. So I think his role, like, he wasn't trying to, like, they're trying to make it sound like Cube was trying to be a Trump surrogate or something, but I think Cube accomplished what he was trying to do. So what is Martin saying here? Martin is trying to, again, get in front of the waves and act like he's moving the tides. He's not the reason why black voters came out. And on top of that, if he is, they lost ground with Biden. So he didn't increase the black vote at all. Right. But yeah, he's basically like, we see how he's like begging, like, okay, they won. And he's like, okay, see what we did for you, please. This is why you got to hire me. So when you see him put this confirms why he was acting that way with Q, why he was desperate for Q to bring him in on his coattails. Like, he desperately wants an in, you know? Yeah, so he's like, I mean, these people are so shameless with their job hunting. So it's like, y'all gonna stop listening to white consultants and listen to black ones? But why not? The only group that he made inroads with is white men. So why not? You know, maybe you should listen to white consultants. Or if he listens to black consultants, why listen to you? Why are you the black consultant that you should listen to? Yeah. So it's like and talking about spending money on black owned media. Like, it's just so tacky, like this begging. Why doesn't he say what you gonna do for black people? These people have when Alicia Garza's talking to Ice Cube's whole contract with Black America is a bunch of tangibles for Black people, whether you agree with them or not. But all Alicia Garza talked her whole time she had Ice Cube there was put me on your platform. She acted she was entitled to the platform. She has serious white woman entitlement. It's amazing. That's how you could tell she wasn't raised in the Black community. Black people, we never have the life circumstances to build that level of entitlement. It's very foreign to us. Like, she has white woman entitlement. She put her hair in to activate pure Becky entitlement, and she came with it. You know, she had that shark smile that a lot of white women have when she was talking. That a lot of Karens have. I shouldn't just say white women, specifically Karens. And this is a key point. This is true. White people don't actually believe Garza and Roland have any real power. They're really just throwing caution to the women they meet with them. I also think they like to use them as optics to pretend that they're reaching out to Black people. Like, so they can do the things they already want to do. Like, they already want to do things. So they want bought and paid for, like, Black operatives who provide them cover by asking for only the things they're already willing to do. So they already think they have the Black vote in the bag. They just don't want, they just want something superficial for optics to act like they're offering them, right? So anyway, Rolly's not asking for anything for Black people. The first thing he's asking for is himself. So anyway, that confirms, because I always like to show proof of what I'm saying. So the things that I was saying about why they were talking to Ice Cubes like that, if you watch, you see how things end up happening, and they say things that always end up proving us right on Champagne Sharks. I always say we should be called Champagne Psychics, right? And look at this one, Patrisse Cullors. She's the one that got that big deal with CAA and Warner Group, and that All Around deal, and she's on the writing staff for that show on Freeform, ABC Family, and she saw this opportunity. She came back from Hollywood to jump in on the grift. She's got her hand in different pots. That's what mob people do. That's what the mafia does. They have, this grift. They got to keep an eye on the different pots they have boiling. So let's look at this. Patrisse Cullors in 2015, right? Here's what she was talking about. She was saying, the unchecked white liberal who positions our pain as his political power and believes he is changing the world, don't let them take our shit. She put the hashtag, like, don't let the unchecked white liberal who uses our pain as political power to act like they're changing the world, don't let them take our shit. It's 2015. 2020, Patrisse Cullors, Movement 1. Congrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Looking forward to working with you to support the future of Black lives. So now she's saying that this is a win for the movement. What does Joe Biden have to do with your movement? He's not even meeting you people. Congrats, Joe Biden. It's like, what they're like when we're doing that incel rap video. Remember doing that incel video? We were doing a video about incel rap songs, and we were talking about the Vapors and the whole Vapors song and those other songs. We're playing all these old rap songs from back in the day when the guy talks about the girl who was dissing him. Then he makes a bunch of money, and now he's a rapper. And now the girl comes around, hey, remember me? That's what they're doing right now. Like, they're showing up like, I always thought you was cute. You know what I mean? I always thought you was cute. How about you and I talk? You know what? You know what they're like right now? This is what they're like. There's that incel Alex L cartoon. Ken and I always make fun of it. Ken and I always make fun of it. Let me see if I can find it, because that's exactly what it is. It's I'm gonna pull it up real fast, but this is like the incel fantasy. That's what Joe Biden is living right now. I'm going to show you what I mean. And we always joke about this video, Ken and I, as like the Black Elliot Rodger anthem. But this is it. Don't worry about him, babe. He's just a nerd. And then the nerd is like, this is Joe Biden. Why do they always pick thugs? Like, so she's there walking off with Warren, right? And he's like, haha, these educated lames are so clueless. And then, you know, Joe Biden's in the second panel and he's doing the list. His list is like, reach out to Obama, go to South Carolina, find scared black boomers. That's his thing. So instead of like girlfriend, finish high school, finish college, like, get Obama to get the other people to drop out. That's his steps. He's like, educated lame, huh? I'll show them all. And then now the nerd is Biden, with the presidency, that car is his presidency. And this is Black Lives Matter now. Hi there, handsome. Do you remember me? Like that's basically their political strategy to grift right now. That's what Patrice Coulour's tweet is right there. Like it's hilarious. It is really funny. That's the important thing with these people. These people are so transparent. It's sad. I can't even understand how terrible they are. Like they're just not good at a lot of this, right? And some of the stuff like they're even tweeting, like it's so ridiculous. And I want to show you. I got to show you this stuff. This is how bad they're getting. So after the win, they then send this. Yeah, beat it check. Yep. Biden hit him with the beat it check, right? So check this out. Patrice Coulours gave an article, and it was an open article about trying to get Biden to pay them attention. Like, they gotta get the attention. They dissed him. Now he's hot. Now they have to get back in his good graces. So Black Lives Matter, the official account. Let's not go there first. Let's go here first. The official account sends this tweet. They send this tweet. The tweet says, last night, Black Lives Matter sent a letter to President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Now, notice they added both of them. They also added themselves, which makes no sense. That's a weird thing to do. We celebrate the defeat of Trump, and we want to make sure supporting Black lives is at the forefront of this administration. When they say supporting Black lives at the forefront of this administration, what they really mean is supporting Black Lives Matter, our organization, not actual Black lives. But the fact that they're resorting to this, they're sending a tweet and tagging them. Do you know how bad your access has to be when that's the best thing? I mean, that's how I try to get guests. Like when I want to try to get like a famous guest and I have no other thing to do, I have no connection. Like I'll go on Twitter and just like, hey, I'll try to maybe like hope people put pressure on them to come on the show. Like they're using like that tactic, that's just the Hail Mary pass. Yeah. So yeah, it's clout chasing when they add the person. That's basically what. So now we're in November, and this is kind of show what I'm saying when I say that they have no access. That's why she's so desperate to beg Cube, why she was acting that way, right? What's funny about this? I thought about the stand thing, and I had it lined up, but it'll get a copyright strike. But I tweeted. It's funny you said that. I tweeted an excerpt from the song "Stand." The second verse, why didn't you write me back? I tweeted that on Twitter about the letter I'm about to show, because it really is like Stan. So it's funny that you said that. And I had the clip, and the reason I'm not playing that clip, I thought the same thing. Second verse, Stan. Listen to that. I can't play it. YouTube will copyright strike me, but I'm glad you said that. I thought the same thing. This is the letter that they're talking about. Like, you gotta look at this letter. This letter is amazing. November 7th, 2020. The Honorable Joe Biden and the Honorable Kamala Harris via electronic mail only. Dear President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, congratulations on your election to the presidency and vice presidency of the United States. Like so many, we are relieved that the Trump era in government is coming to a close. As we celebrate his electoral demise, we also know that his political exit does not ensure an end to the intolerable conditions faced by Black people in America. A well thought out, community driven, fully resourced agenda that addresses the particular challenges faced by the Black people must be a top priority. We are requesting a meeting with you both to discuss the expectations that we have for your administration and the commitments that must be made to Black people, basically us. We want jobs. But yeah, they're asking for the meeting. But that's how bad these people are out of the circles right now. Like, this is not an operator's move. This is a desperation move. This is a shot in the dark. They're hoping that the people will tweet at Joe Biden until they get a meeting, right? This kind of shows how out of the circle, and this is what they were fearing. So getting Kamala Harris in there did not. They don't think they're the voice of the Black community. They don't think that. That's a key. They don't really believe they're the voice of the Black community. They just want to pretend they are. They know they're not the voice of the Black community. This is a game. They want white liberals to think that, or at the very least, because I don't think even white liberals believe it. They want to be plausible. This is the thing. Sometimes you need a line to be plausible. Like, there's times it's like a strip club, right? Most people, except for the biggest idiots, know when they go to a strip club, the stripper doesn't really like them. The stripper doesn't think that she's cute. Like, even Drake knows that. But what they're paying for is the plausibility. Like, let me come in here and let me at least doubt for a second. Like, let me come in here and tell me, like, wow, if you weren't a customer, I would date you in a second. Or, I don't like doing this for a living. Or, yeah, can you buy me a drink? And, I like talking to you, not like the other customers. Like, most people know that's a lie with any common sense, but it's a plausibility. And it's the stripper who can't even play that game and remind you that you're a customer that doesn't make money at the club. That's what these people are. They're not. They don't really think they're the voice of the Black community any more than the stripper thinks that she's gonna date you, or the common sense customer thinks it's the game. You have to pretend, but the problem is, even with the pretend and the make believe, you have to maintain some level of plausibility, or the fantasy falls apart. And these people have lost all plausibility. Like Elizabeth Warren is the person who goes to the strip club and actually thinks the stripper is gonna leave stripping to be their boo, and that Elizabeth Warren is like Captain Save-A-Ho. Elizabeth Warren thinks that she believes the lie. She actually thought they could bring the votes. Like, she was dumb enough to believe the lie. She's the grifting stripper's dream. Like, you're like, wait, I actually found a mark that's actually dumb enough to actually buy in wholeheartedly. Yeah, so yeah, she was a short-term blessing. She was good. But going on, without the resounding support of Black people, we would be saddled with a very different electoral outcome. Mind you, these are the same people that could not deliver Black voters to Elizabeth Warren in South Carolina, where there's a ton of Black people. In short, Black people won this election. Alongside Black-led organizations around the nation, Black Lives Matter invested heavily in this election. They didn't even hire you. You're doing it on spec. And the numbers went down for Black voters. Vote and organize became our motto, and our electoral justice efforts reached more than 60 million voters. We want something for our vote. Like, you did not deliver that, because if you could have delivered it, you would have delivered it to Warren, who you were all in for. Someone said Liz Warren is old boy in Players Club going to Lisa Ray's apartment. That's funny. We want to be heard, and this is what I'm talking about, standing in front of, like, the audacity isn't that they're pretending to the audacity here isn't that they're pretending to be the voice of the Black community. It's that they're pretending that they had anything to do with the voice of the Black community, that they could even channel it. So in a way, Dr. Ganja, I take it back. You're kind of right, because in a way, they don't think they're the voice of the Black community, but they think that they can plausibly pretend to. Like, so let me alter that. You're not totally wrong that they are representing themselves as the voice of the Black community. It's just that, to me, the audacity is that they think that they're actually fooling anybody. Like, they've been exposed so badly. They says, we want to be heard and our agenda to be prioritized, but they don't say what the agenda is. We issue these expectations not just because Black people are the most consistent and reliable voters for Democrats, and that's like, I've never left on you all the times you cheated on me, and for that loyalty, I deserve for you not to cheat on me next time. And then, the guy goes, okay, I promise, as long as you keep not leaving me, I'm gonna finally stop cheating you this time. Yeah. So it makes no sense, right? But this whole letter, she says things like, we issue these expectations not just because Black people are the most consistent, reliable voters, but also because Black people are truly living in a crisis in a nation that was built on our subjugation. Up until this point, the United States has refused to directly reckon with the way it devalues Black people and devastates our lives. This cannot continue. Black people can neither afford to live through the vitriol of a Trump-like presidency nor through the indifference of a Democrat-controlled government that refuses to wrestle with its most egregious and damnable shame. Okay, that part I agree with. So what's the solution? President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, both of you discuss addressing systemic racism as central to electoral campaigns. Okay, that's so far so good. Both of you also express regrets regarding your record on issues impacting Black people. Good point. The best way to ensure that you remedy past missteps and work towards a more just future for Black people, all right, I'm with you so far, and by extension, all people, okay, I don't know about that part, about being mules for everybody and helping Black people by helping everyone, but okay, it's minor misstep, okay, so far, is to take your direction from Black grassroots organizations that have been engaged in the work for decades, with the legacy that spans back to the first arrival of enslaved Africans. They have not been around for decades. This is what these people do all the time. They try to act like they're the direct legacy of what's been happening for decades. Most of these people were in Occupy, Wall Street, and like white organizations before Mike Brown happened. They are not part of a legacy of Black. They switched over from like white, queer, and socialist politics. If you look at all their resumes, that's how all of them came up a lot of times. And saw an opening with Mike Brown and Ferguson to switch and appoint themselves the leaders of Black people, because they kind of realized from being in white movements, they were always going to be seen as tokens in those movements. And their hope is, hey, like, I'll give you an example. If you ever see these people, they're supposedly intersectional. And one of the claims about being intersectional is, I can't choose being a woman over being queer, over being Black, over being everything. All my identities are equal. And also, Black men have patriarchy and power, straight Black men, to the point that they're like the white people of Black people. And they oppress, Black people and take leadership, and they have power and operate in a way that is analogous to the privilege and power that white women and even white men have. So why is it all the time when they're lecturing black people, they're always saying black people have to step aside and let us lead, let us lead, let us lead. But when they talk to white organizations who they supposedly have an equal identity with, right? They say, give us a seat at the table. Give us a seat at the table. You know, they don't go to the white gay organization and say, hey, all gay lives matter, including the black ones. You need to fall back and let us lead. Like, if you remember that imaginary barbershops of doom conversation, that video I did where I had that Kimberly Crenshaw video, her podcast. If you remember that one, over and over again, all they talked about is straight black men, stop being homophobic, step aside and let us lead. It wasn't about give us a seat at the table. It was shut up and get in the back seat, or just hop out the car altogether. They don't talk like that with white people. So one of two things happen. Either you don't really believe that those are all your equal identities. At some level, you realize you are black first. So that's why you prioritize leading black organizations, but you only settle for a seat at the table of the white ones. So somehow you really do believe you're black first, even though you try to pretend that you don't. Or the second thing is, for all you talk about black men and their power and patriarchy and stranglehold, you really know they have no power. And you actually can get the leadership position in those things in a way that you know where real power is. You can't dethrone white women. You can't make white women listen to you. They have actual power, and they have real racism. Like, the level of homophobia you claim that black men have, white women have that racism. White gay people have that racism double for real. You know you can't shame them into it. You know where real power is. For all talk about the black male patriarchy and power, you know that you can push them aside. You know that the people with the real power, which is white liberals, can just appoint you the manager of black people. And yeah, so these people, they move into black movements because they hit a wall in the white movements that they really want to be. Like, they not only can't lead white movements, they can't even get a seat at the table. So then they are forced to go hand in hand to the black movements. But because they don't really respect black people and think they're better than black people, I think they're special snowflakes, and grew up believing they're honorary white people, they show up into the black movements with white level entitlement. That's why Alicia Garza addresses Ice Cube like that. She addresses Ice Cube like a smug white female manager, not like a fellow black person or a black woman from the black community would talk to a black man. She comes with that energy. They can't hold back their contempt even as they're trying to take over the movement, because this was a consolation prize to them. They wanted a seat at the table, a place at the white movements. And truth be told, them becoming heads, and not real heads, but installed managers of black movements and leaders, for them is just a backdoor way to accomplish what they couldn't accomplish the first time, which is a seat at the table in white movements. That's what this is right now with this letter to Biden and Harris. What they're like is, okay, we realized growing up a first time around, we were never going to get to lead or get a seat at the table. And this is where we really want to be. But these people actually have real power, and they actually have real bias against us. Let's go to where there's less hatred against us, the black movement, and where there is not real power, because the black people who are there are basically very low in power, and we can get white people to veto them and install us in the mainstream as their managers, because the only way we're going to work with them is if we get to be leaders, because we think we're special snowflakes and unique blacks. And if we do a good job as your installed managers, in the future, that's going to get us a backdoor way into where we really want to be all along. That's what this is. And this calculation has gone horribly wrong with the person, because the people who sent them on this mission, who they have a best chance of making it work with, are gone. And the new management is Biden. And he's like, new phone, who this? You know? So she ends up ending with, we look forward to meeting with you at your convenience to begin the immediate work of Black liberation. We would like to be actively engaged in your transition team's planning and policy work. Again, congratulations on your win. Let's go to work. So all that shit you listed, you didn't have a single solution for it, except, or a single ask, except we would like to, this is like a resume cover letter. That's how powerless this is. This is like a shot in the dark resume cover letter at a corporation where you have no in. You have no one to ask you to get in. You have no one. Don't have the right credentials, like nothing. Yeah. So yeah, we look forward to, like, it's so humble. We look forward to meeting with you. And notice that the humility. This is not the humility you talk to Ice Cube with. They don't talk to Ice Cube with any humility. But so pure desperation. And this is the last thing I'm going to end it with. And again, I feel like we've been dropping a lot of heat. We've been saying a lot of good stuff. So comment, like, subscribe, share with people. Follow if you're not following. If for some reason you're listening to this and you're not following, you should definitely follow. Hit the bell icon. Get notified of everything. Comment, like, hate, subscribe, whatever. Share it. Hit us up with the Cash App or the Venmo or PayPal at champagnestrikes@gmail.com. Hit us up with the super chat or the super sticker in the bottom. This is just a laundry list, house cleaning before we go, because we're going to end it soon. And the other thing is, always check out the podcast, Champagne Sharks. Any place you listen to podcasts, definitely do that. And yeah, this is the final thing that we're going to end it with, and I think it really drives home the desperation. It really drives home the desperation. And oh, actually, I forgot one thing. This is pretty bad. I forgot this. So I'm gonna end it on two things, but both of them are short. In addition to the letter, they did this. I forgot about this one. Join Black Lives. This is 2 days later. 2 days later, they did this. 2 days after the letter. Join Black Lives Matter in our request for a meeting with President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. Sign our petition now. So not only did the letter not work, 2 days later, they've resorted to an online petition of just a bunch of randos signing. That's what they're resorting to now. Please sign this petition. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know they were this far out of influence or whatever. And who knows, maybe some of this will work, maybe by some long shot. But I think the same way Alicia Garza told Ice Cube not to skip the line, her problem is she was standing on the wrong line. Biden had his own line. She was standing on Elizabeth Warren's line, and that's the line for the grifters and the social justice Tumblr types. Biden has his line, and his line has a different type of operative on it, a type of old school Obama era style operative. And so right now, ironically, she's trying to skip the line herself. She's trying to skip the line, and she doesn't realize that the problem is she was always on the wrong line, And yeah, so that's funny that they resorted to a freaking petition. They have resorted to a petition, and I found that really, really funny. That's what they've ended up resorting to. So all that talk about um what they can do, and this is where they are. And now here's the final thing, finally, that I want to talk about. Unfortunately, I gotta find it. Just give me a second. Here it is. They ended it with this, and this is totally that Alex L cartoon. They ended it with "We won." This is not only what they tweeted. They tweeted this thing. They tweeted "We won," and not only did they tweet "We won," but they made it their new profile pic. That is currently their profile pic. So, for all this talk about being on board with Ice Cube and his whole, for all this talk about being on board with Ice Cube and with talking to both sides or whatever, you were never really in play. If the dem, like they were kind of pandering to Ice Cube with talking about how acting like they're a third party, just like Ice Cube is, but they're tweeting "We won," as in, first off, you're not working with Biden. If the "we" is the Democrats, then that is, pretty disturbing. That's that, and they got clowned for that big time. A lot of people clowned them. Like, they just given up all pretense of independence or being, picture like the Black Panthers writing that letter begging for a meeting like that, or picture the Black Panthers when one of the two parties won, saying "We won." And that, I think, shows, and it's the thing, someone said this: if we won, why do you need to talk to Biden? Exactly. If you if you are we, and this is a victory for y'all, why can't you even get this person to call you back? Why are you doing freaking petitions? Um yeah, so what's funny? The show is not just me, right? I just want to show like how the jig is up for these people. The show is not just me. Look at how people on Twitter are reacting to this, right? People are quoting them and basically on the right and left clowning them, So right wingers are clowning them. Like, why does BLM have a petition demanding a meeting with Biden Harris? They want to be paid folks, and the conspiratorial people are talking about it. But then the black person's like, y'all been had again, as in saying, telling Black Lives Matter, y'all been had. You did all this ass kissing for nothing. They have to garner signatures to have a meeting with Biden Harris. I thought they were all in this together. One fist bumps the other. Come on, man. So the guy's a laughing face and a face palm. Yeah, and so like someone put clown emojis. I'm not cherry picking. I'm just scrolling down. You can see it's just mostly clowning, both from the right and left. What are y'all doing? Wait, something don't add up here. Like, even like the followers are kind of losing faith. Like, wait a minute, you guys have to resort to a petition to meet these people after an open letter, after all this talk about how you guys were doing smart politics and we're acting like you're so someone put this thing up there, like everyone is just basically clowning them. It'll be curious to see what they can salvage out of this. I'm very curious. I'm very curious myself as to what they can salvage out of it. But what do y'all think before we go? Do you think these people are gonna be able to salvage anything out of this? I would love to know what y'all think, because I'm skeptical. I'm pretty skeptical myself. Let's see, any final thoughts before we go. You missed it, Kamaria, because you came in late. I believe you missed this, but yeah, that's what we were saying. The only reason they had Kamala was they want to backdoor her in when he dies, but I think they also hope Kamala Harris would leave. You know, like back in the slave days, sometimes the field slaves wanted to have a house slave that they were friends with. They want to have one of their own become a house slave, and hopefully the house slave would sometimes leave the door unlocked and they could come in and maybe like get a little bit of extra treats, or they might leave something in the back. That's kind of what they're hoping to do. They're hoping one of their own would be a house slave, and either let them in through the back door or put in a good word for them, to become a house slave, or at the very least like leave some food out back. And it looks like they got the wrong one in. And I mean, they bet big and they bet wrong. And but it's just very interesting to show how savvy these people are not, because I'll be honest, they're very good at being influencers and stuff. And I did believe to a level that they were better at working politics than this. And I'm a little bit surprised how after all these years, the only real trick is internet influencing tricks. And for 9 months or more, those haven't been working. Biden's kind of impervious to them. And Kamala is kind of like a boomer with that stuff. Like, Elizabeth Warren is a boomer who is like Steve Buscemi in that gif where he goes, "Hello, fellow kids," and he makes an ass of himself, but he's trying to look like a kid. Like, Elizabeth Warren's one of those people. She thinks she can hire some young people to make her look hip and get her in with the kids, and of course they couldn't, but they were able to pick her pockets while they were helping her change clothes. Whereas Kamala Harris, even though she's black and Indian, she's not really an in to that crowd. All her people when she was running were Hillary Clinton holdovers and the people who failed Hillary, Ian Sams and all those people. So I'd like to know, leave in the comments, let me know which grifters you think are going to get into the White House. I would love to know that in the comments. Leave that in the comments before you go. And if y'all feeling generous and want to hit us up in the donation plate, by all means, feel free to do that. It's always appreciated. And comment, like, subscribe. Just let us know you like us. That helps us get through as well. Yeah, Simone Sanders. But, Simone Sanders, at least she's an employee. She, so whatever. It makes sense. But I mean, like, grifters who aren't actually in yet, I would love to know who you think is gonna get in. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thanks for being troopers. And y'all have a good night. Love y'all. Be good.